Alright, we're going to talk about this Seiko, what they're calling the Land Tortoise, which is a Prospex watch, which I believe really does mean that it passes all the dive certifications, non-magnetic, 200 meter water resistance, shock proof, all that other good loom. Although this one wouldn't qualify as a diver because there's no loom on the bezel, and this is an aluminum bezel. You can see it's a compass bezel, and it is bi-directional. It turns in both directions. Although this one is stiff, it's a little hard to turn. I'm going to have to lube that up, but you can see that. And just so you guys know, if you don't know, you don't need the bezel, this compass bezel, to tell direction. The way it works is you point your hour hand at the sun, and then halfway between the hour hand and noon, the noon marker at the top of the dial, that's going to be south. All right, at least in the northern hemisphere. I'm going to take this off, show you a couple details here. And by the way, I mean, I think I just said it, but you don't need the bezel with the markers to help you at all to find north or south. But it comes in handy if you're working with a map, because you can orient this correct. You can put your map on the ground there, lay the watch down, and it'll help you navigate with a map. That's about the only reason you'd even want the compass on there. Now, this watch, as I mentioned, it has an aluminum bezel insert, which does have some damage, and I saw that in the pictures on eBay. And I mean, I thought it had scratches on the lens, but it doesn't. It's actually in better shape than I thought, although the bracelet wasn't in great shape. You can see it has applied indices. I didn't bring my little cloth here. Hang on a second. Yeah. What I really like about it, it's funny too, because I mentioned the Prospex and dive watches. Look where they put the date window. So you have loomed indices all the way around the watch. You know, a lot of watches have the date window at 3 o'clock. This one's at 4:30. I love that. I think that's an awesome detail, because when it's loomed, or when it's dark and the loom's going, you have a nice balance to the dial. 4 o'clock crown, screw in locking crown, drilled lugs. I mean, I've changed the bands and pulled those out several times already just in the last few hours since I've owned it. And on the back of the watch, you have a way to communicate with air. So, if you're lost in the forest, you're in a plane crash, you're a hiker, and they're looking for you, these are ways to communicate ground air emergency signal code. So if you need food or medical attention or whatever, you can make these marks on the ground, which I think is really cool. These are things as a Boy Scout you learn, but I don't remember all that stuff. I gave it a little scrub, but clearly I didn't scrub it hard enough. There's still some, or did I? Yeah, there's a little muck right here still. You get these watches, man, you never know the condition that they're going to be in. The last few watches I bought were pretty filthy. Back this out for you here. Now, this watch has a flat sapphire crystal that does not have anti-reflective coating. That is for a reason. You can use this to signal with that way. And I'm going to do an experiment in a moment where I'm going to put the camera on a tripod and compare it to the Willard, and I'm going to try reflecting light back at the lens of the camera for you, and we should see the difference. So this is going to be a practical experiment. We're using the scientific method. When you look at the coin edge bezel, you can see that there is a bevel, a bit of a bevel to the aluminum bezel insert. It's beautiful. This is thinner and lighter than the other turtles I own. And I do have the calipers, so I'll be doing a little, comparison in size in a moment here. To me, this is my dress watch. That's where we're at. I'm not a dress watch kind of guy. To me, this does wear kind of tiny on my wrist, and it is thin. And I'm going to put a leather NATO on it. It'll dress it up a bit. And although, I say it's the dress watch, but this is probably the watch you should be wearing if you're hiking. Of course, I have the Atlas Land Shark, which is very cool, and I love that, and super tough. But this is a nice low-profile watch. So if you were wearing a suit, yeah, the sleeves and the cuffs of your shirt and the sleeves of your jacket will easily slide right over this, and it'll look pretty sharp. A bit of a rugged looking dress watch, I suppose. And by the way, replacing a bezel insert, I've mentioned it before, not a big deal. Get back to the dial on this, and even Seiko is applied. Look at that. If you could see that through all the reflectivity. Second hand is gold. It's got the little lollipop on the back end of it there. It's a beautiful, beautiful dial, beautiful watch. I'll try to get it in some more light in a moment so you can see the sunburst on the dial. Not showing up great right here, but you'll see that in a moment. Let me get these other watches out. I'm going to show you this real quick. This is just a Pulsar quartz. I'm not into quartz. This watch was in my shop in a box of garbage, actually, and just needed a new battery. It was pretty cruddy, and the band was kind of cruddy, and I picked it up, and I put a new battery in it. And the homeowners here that let me use the garage as a workshop called me over the other day, and they said, "Hey, Mike, I got an old Seiko automatic. Doesn't work for me anymore. He's not physical anymore, so he can't keep it running." He asked if I wanted it. I said, "Well, Tim, I got your old Pulsar. I took it out of the garbage. I put a battery in it. So do you like wearing a watch?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, hey, I'll give you this watch back, and I'll take the Seiko off your hands." Anyhow, let's put that aside. So you see three watches here. This is the one that got me back into watches. This is the Seiko Turtle. I believe it's from 2017. My buddy Chad, I didn't wind this, so let's set the time correct on this here. It's about 10:20 in the morning, approximately. Okay, wind this up here. So I got this watch, and oh man, even the date is way off. Might as well fix that too, huh? Let's get that here. You can see how that works. Oh, that's the day. Today is Friday. I'll zoom in on this for you. There we go. And we got to get back to the 8th. And I'm getting mosquitoes landing on my hands as I do this. It's crazy here right now, mosquitoes. There we go. And I'll reset this. I'm screwing the crown down now. I'm pushing in on it, and we are locked. So there's the Seiko Turtle. You see the condition it's in. Came to me like that. Now, I really, really, really dug on this watch when I got it, and I like the way it fits my wrist. I like the way the watch looks on my wrist. It doesn't look tiny on the wrist. We're going to take the calipers to this in a moment. But the Hardlex crystal, I started getting more into it, and people are talking about sapphire crystals, and I got into the Willard watches and all the new homages coming out of China with sapphire crystals. All right, I was getting those, and to me, they're better than the Seikos. That's just how I feel. They got Seiko movements, and they're better spec'd. But I started noticing things that I like better than the details I'm seeing on this particular watch. Okay, what are those details? Well, I'll show you. The number one thing is the indices on this watch. Now, this here is a tool watch. This is a pro diver watch. Okay, you've got loom at the pip, so you can see where your time is once you set that. And all the indices are loomed, the hands are loomed. Now, look at the indices. Now, actually on this watch, let me see here. I can see this now. Super zoom here. Super macro. So these indices are applied. It's funny, until you get that zoom on them, you're just looking at it with the naked eye. It almost looks like they're painted on. Wow, I'm really glad I just did this, because when I was just staring at this thing, look how bad the scratches look. Okay, so these are applied, but they look like they're painted on because of the styling. So there's a little metal rim around each one, but then there's the lume in the center, and then there's a white line between the silver of the applied indice itself and the lume, the pillow lume sitting there. So that's what threw me off. From the top looking down on this with my old man eyesight, it just looks like they're painted on the dial. So I was about to say something that was going to be totally untrue. But anyhow, I like this watch. The bezel action is a little weak. It's just worn out. There's a little bit of a movement with it. Once it locks, there's no back play. So that's good. And this watch does line up correctly. So I'm happy about that. And again, I love this watch. I like date. I mentioned before, because I always forget what day it is. Working for yourself, you're not thinking about things in those terms. Any day could be my Saturday. You know what I'm saying? So here's the Landshark I just picked up, and here is the new Seiko Willard, which I know it's got a bracelet on it, but I could tell you the whole thing is heavier. I think even without the bracelet, if I was to take it off, okay, I'm killing mosquitoes as I'm doing this video. So, I mean, you can see that the case on the Willard, a little larger up at the top here. This one rounds over more. Big difference is the domed crystal here on the Willard. All right, I'll zoom in for you and give you some details on that. A little bit of a dome here. Not much. You got the nice bevel on the crystal. This does have an anti-reflective coating, although when I showed in videos, it doesn't seem like it. We're going to do an experiment at the camera in a moment. It does have the loomed pip at the top. It is a Prospex. This is an official dive watch. You can actually take this out there and use it. I love how the bevel reflects the chapter markers, which are not in the chapter ring. They're actually applied to the dial. I like the thick frame on the indices because it makes them pop. I love this watch. It's a beautiful watch. But this is, if you're paying MSRP on this, it's $1,100. All right, the Landshark, you can get this for under $500 MSRP. And you can find better deals on it. I don't even want to tell you what I got this for because it was too inexpensive. Let's break the calipers out. All right, I took this off the band so it'd be easy to use with the calipers. But the case on this, 42.1. Your lug dimension, 20 millimeter. Your thickness, 11.8. Look at that. I think they're saying it's 12, but that's about right. Your lug to lug, 45. So when you look at the Seiko here, the Willard copy, right? Your case here, pretty close, right? It's 42. Is that right? That's what this one was, wasn't it? Yep. Okay. I know it's a 20 millimeter lug. Okay. Thickness, we're going to have a change here. 14.3. So that's a little over 2 millimeters thicker than the Landshark. Let's try lug to lug here. 45.9. Where are we at here? 45.5. Let's go back to the... Okay. So it's a little, oh, sorry, it's a little bit longer. So I mean, this watch is a little larger and it is heavier. Again, the bracelet on this makes a difference. And of course, when we get back to the turtle here, we're at 45, so that's 3 millimeters wider. Yeah, I know these are 22. I know that's a 22 lug. I don't have to measure it. I know, let's see here, lug to lug. Sorry. Man, I'm battling mosquitoes. I'm telling you, it's the most annoying thing in the world. 46 millimeters about. And the thickness on this might be thinner than the, yeah, 13.2. So the new Willard is actually thicker than the old Turtle, but the Turtle case is wider. So for your lightest, thinnest profile out of all these, you're looking at this watch here. Let me get this out in the sunlight and then do some reflectivity experiments. Just want you to see that sunburst on that dial. Let's get my fingerprints off that. So there's actually a texture on the dial, and you can see that effect. That I'll tell you, on the listing of it, it looked to me more like it was a black dial, and I couldn't find one, and I could see the green aluminum on the bezel, so I knew it was going to be the green watch. Here's our reflectivity here for you, right there at the lens, but we'll do another one. So beautiful, beautiful lens. Look at that. Not lens, but dial. Let's take a look at this. Similar lens, color's a little different. I've always liked the olive drab color of this aluminum bezel insert on this watch. Again, this is the Willard. So you can see the green, the difference in the color green. This is more on the left here is more of a forest green. It reminds me of Christmas for some reason. And there's a little more yellow in the green on this dial, which also appears to have a bit of a texture to the dial until you turn it a certain way, and then it starts reflecting and showing the sunburst of it. Really, really cool. And then, we get to the original Turtle with the Hardlex crystal, and you can see that. Let me try a reflectivity thing with me wearing the watch into the camera. All right. So let's just do a little reflectivity test here. This is the Seiko Landshark. You should see something. I'm going to go right here. Boom. So just wanted to show you that. Dead on, right? I won't know what this looks like till I look at it. I know you can't hear me. Hang on a second. I forgot to turn that mic around, but I'll just keep it in there because I don't want to edit this. But again, you guys already saw this. I'm shining it right black, so you see that this clearly reflects. This is the Seiko Turtle. There's no reflection. I can't see. If I'm reflecting this at the ground, there's nothing here. I see nothing. You might see a reflection off the lens a bit, but I can tell you right now, it is not reflecting back at the camera. 100% not reflecting back at the camera. Thought I saw something flash over there. And then this is the old Turtle, which is the Hardlex crystal. Oh, look at this. This has a reflection. So this does not have anti-reflective coating. However, to me, and I'll see this in the video like you're seeing it now, I'm looking at the ground, I'm coming up, boom. So I guess we'll be able to determine how much of a reflection this has compared to the land shark. I'm blinding you, man. Trying to find, there we go. I don't know if I can get both of them on there. Anyhow, I'm wasting your time here. So these two reflect. This is a flat Hardlex crystal on this watch. And we've got this one here. I mean, it's right in the lens. I'm sure it's bothering you. So that's the reflectivity of the sapphire with no AR coating. This is the reflectivity of the Hardlex with no AR coating, right? And then this is the Willard here, where, yeah, this has got AR. That's what your AR anti-reflective coating does. It's not, I mean, I can't see any reflection going into that lens. So now you know. Now you know what it does. I don't think I've seen anybody else do that on YouTube. So maybe that'll be the name of this video. Anyhow, listen. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. I mean, I'm happy if one of my videos ends up getting like 500 views. That makes me happy. And you guys have been doing that for me, and I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy what I'm doing here with this stuff. I hope you come back often. And if you want to see something in particular, just mention it. There's going to be people watching this video here that don't watch my other videos. They're just watch people, and they've just stumbled upon it. Hi. I'm not a zany watch channel. You know, I wish I could be. I learn enough to know about the things that I like, but I'm not going to get super into this. I have started tinkering with these things, though, opening them up and stuff. So there'll be some more of that coming for you watch nerds. All good. For everybody else who watches all my other stuff, it's just another subject for you to like find out something about. That's it for now. Be kind to one another. Be good to one another. Help each other out the best you can. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.